Good morning, happy Friday. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I am your host, James Portman. And if you are coming through, then please do let me know by either hitting the love heart button, showing some love, or commenting down below how you handle adversity. So I want you to tell me, how do you handle adversity? I'm not expecting many people on this morning. I expect everybody's in bed for the Jubilee. I'm going to watch the sunrise. So today I want to talk about adversity. Okay, adversity is really important. So listen, for me there are two profound dates or days that really stand out for me. And that's the day that we're born, and that's the day that we die. And whenever I go up to see my dad at the graveyard, I always look at the headstones, and I always look at the date that they were born and the date that they died and how long they lived. And something that always kind of stands out for me is I wonder what kind of life that person lived. What type of person did that person live between that first date and that second date? And I always find that fascinating, because the period of time between when we were born and when we die, the type of life that we lead can be inspirational, it can be passionate, you can leave a legacy, you can live a life of fulfillment, direction. The possibilities are endless for you to create this incredible life, right? But something that often stops us from creating that life is adversity. And what I want to talk about is how we overcome that adversity so that you can go on to live the life that's worth living. The life that says, hey man, I gave it everything between those two dates. I gave it absolutely everything. I threw everything into it. Because it's important that we throw everything into it, because we want to make a difference in the world, right? And when we say the world, you could either talk about the whole world, where someone like Nelson Mandela would have had a legacy, or you could talk about your world, the world that lives underneath your roof, or the world that matters. And how I see life is that I want to make the world a better place before I disappear, before I go on to whatever's next. And the date that I was born, 9th of October 1978, to the day that I die, whatever date that will be, I want to make sure that when I'm on my deathbed there and I'm thinking back and life's flashing in front of me before I go, did I give it everything? Did I achieve everything I wanted to do? Did I follow through with everything? Did I take every opportunity? Did I do myself justice? Did I push my kids in the right direction? Did I leave the right message? Or did I get completely consumed with fear? Did I have my back up against the wall all the time? Did I just not show up? Did I stay in a victim mentality or a pity party, complaining and moaning about everything that I really don't have any control about? When you look at the two different elements or the two different paths you can go down between those two dates, in our mind it should be a non-brainer, right? That, hey, I want to make that difference in my life, in my life, to affect other people's life. I want to make sure I leave my legacy for those people around who are continuing in their life. I want to impact them, impact their children, impact my children. So we've got to overcome adversity. I think one of the first things that we have to accept is that adversity is a way of life. It's always going to be in our life. I don't think that we are ever going to be able to hide, get away, or not have some level of adversity in our lives. Little elements that allow us to test our character and the way that we show up. Now, when we think, if we are aware enough of the life that we have between the two dates, then we can look at it And we can process adversity in a different type of way. So instead of allowing it to consume us and we go, oh, life's unfair, let's turn into a snowflake and start moaning and complaining about life, or life's too short to be worrying about that. Right, fair enough, this didn't happen, let's move on. And the more and more and more aware you can become of how fragile and limited your time is between those two dates, and the more and more you are clearer on what you want to achieve and the legacy you want to leave behind between those two dates, the less you worry about adversity, the less you consume yourself in facing adversity. One of the commandments was, one of the principles was cheerfulness under adversity. And I loved that, and I always loved that, because when we were cold and wet, when we were in a deserted desert, putting our lives on the line, when we when we had done a 10-day exercise, we were on the bones of our backside, and we were trying to find that level of mental strength, to be able to keep going when we're tested in those situations over and over again. You have to find your cheerfulness in adversity. That means, like, keep smiling through it, find a way through it, because there's a bigger picture here, there's a bigger mission at hand. Rather than getting bogged down with that adversity that's trying to distract you, there is a bigger picture to fill here. There is a legacy to fill here, right? And that's why it's important to accept there is going to be adversity on your journey. But what we need to make sure is that you are battle ready to get there. And that's what I do with my lads in my mastermind, my brotherhood elite, as we call it now, with my small coaching group, the elite squad, like the people that I work with on a small group basis. All of these guys, what we are doing is building them up to deal with adversity. One of the questions that I always say to them whenever they tell me about their adversity, I say, so what? And that sounds super harsh as a coach, right? It's like, so what? You're still breathing, aren't you? Cool. You've still got your 2 legs and your arms? Good. Check. You still got your family? Good. Check. Still got a roof over your head? Great. Check. We're winning. Stop moaning. Get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if we are that blunt with ourselves, we can't afford to wallow in self-pity. We can't afford to wallow in adversity, because we don't have the time for it, guys. There is no time for it. That end date, that second prominent date, every single day gets a little closer. Why waste any of them trying to deal with things that you can't do anything about, or things that have happened that you can't change? Like, do you know what? Makes sense? You know, life is too fragile, it's too short to be dealing with all of that. So we smile and we crack on. When our backs are against the wall, we simply move to the side and we start walking again with a smile on our face. It's too short, lads, to be wallowing, to be consumed by it all. It might take you a week, it might take you a few days, it might take you a few hours, but you've got to flip it. You've got to start putting things into perspective and understand the bigger picture, the bigger mission that you're on between those 2 dates. Don't ever forget the 2 dates. You've already fulfilled one of those dates because you're here listening to me. You're alive. The second one hasn't come yet. So let's make the most of that time that we have to fulfill the life that we want, to create the legacy we want to leave. So that when you do have that funeral and everyone comes to say goodbye to you, man, they are talking so highly of you. There's a room full of people for you. And often I find that that's how much of an impact that we make on people, right? Is by the people that are at a funeral. But unfortunately, we'll never know what those things are said, or those things that people see, or how many people are in the room. But what we can take charge of is the action that we take each day to the bigger picture. All right, guys? Hope you enjoy your Jubilee weekend. Have a great one. If you haven't already, and you're not already part of our program, then you can join our 7-day elite trial. Our 7-day elite trial starts Monday. The link's up on here somewhere. Go and check out the comments and stuff. And have a cracking weekend with your family. And I'll see you Monday ready to go.